Love and light. So, when I woke up, which was 2017, the 2017 gate, of course, I didn't know it was a gate then, a portal. And, recently I've been looking at the whole walk in thing, and I gotta say that definitely applies to me. I don't know if I'm a full walk in, whether it was a full soul exchange, whether it was a sharing, like the soul braid thing, or what. But I don't feel anything like the person I was. And it was instantaneous. I literally, in meditation, woke up and was like, I'm not Brian. Like, instantaneous. And then pretty soon my marriage ended. I cut ties with my old family, everyone I knew from that old life, because I don't feel like that person at all. Not at all. So it's, yeah, maybe I'm a walk-in, or maybe that's just how sudden awakenings feel. I don't know, because you're still contacting. It was definitely the type of walk-in where your higher self comes in, but whether it was a different soul personality fragment, I don't know. That's off topic. But pretty soon after awakening, I started getting messages, not of doom, of hope, but also in the beginning it was scary to me when I started to realize that the world was ending. Of course, remember, I'm not saying all life on earth is going to end. I'm saying the old model of life, the old structure of greed and fear and power seeking and division and war between us and racism and all this stuff is going. That is going, and those that hold to it will be going with it. That's all I'm saying. No, I'm saying a lot more than that, I guess. But anyways, so say around by 2018, I had a pretty good sense that we only had years left before whatever was coming. I could feel it in every fiber of my being, and I would talk to people about it. And at this point, I still hadn't run into, actually, believe it or not, a lot of the Ascension material. I didn't know anything about the Ascension prior to waking up in that sudden event in meditation, which I barely even knew how to meditate at that point. I was meditating on mushrooms, seeking something. I didn't know what. I just knew I wasn't happy, and I knew there was something I needed, and I didn't know what. But so about a year after that, I had just from talking to people on Facebook, actually, because the only material I was reading at that point was like Hindu, yoga, Buddhist, real like Nisargadatta, Ramana, pretty fundamental Eastern spirituality. I hadn't really, besides a few brief exposures in childhood or as a teenager, I hadn't really come into contact with the New Age, the Ascension, all of this, the awakening Earth, and I didn't know anything about extraterrestrials. I was interested in extraterrestrial contact, but I didn't really believe that they were coming here. I wasn't sure. I didn't know, but I thought most of the people were making it up for sure. Not all. So, anyways, about a year in, I had realized that just from talking to people on Facebook again, that this was the end. That we didn't have much time left. And this was before COVID. And, as this went on, it got stronger and stronger. And I started talking to people about it. I started telling people, I don't know what's coming. I don't know, but something's coming, like something bad. And once I started to realize and connect the biblical revelations and everything, and then I started to actually get visions of pestilence, disease, famine. And about 6 months before COVID started happening, I was talking about that. Pretty sure I made some videos about it. If you want to go back and check, I don't recall exactly what I said on video and what I didn't back then, because my video channel back then was nothing I wasn't really putting a lot of creative energy into it, as it was mainly something that when I would try to talk to people or help people on Facebook, I got tired of saying the same thing. So I started just to make like a video journal so that I could refer to people and help a few people. But it quickly turned into something different. And once I found the law of one and Bashar, which happened pretty quickly, which I guess that was only maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years now. But I don't know, I'm really not good with time anymore. But once I found the Bashar and the law of one, and then quickly after that, Sal Rochelle, I started actually receiving UFO contacts. I started having contacts with the angelic kingdom. Literally, these different beings would come here. And, I didn't understand it back then. I used to see these geometric symbols, shapes, three-dimensional shapes, representations floating through the air, colorful, made of light, I could see through them to some degree. They were translucent like light would be, but they were also solid enough to be clearly visible. And it was interesting because they would persist without my attention, not like I had to look at them to see them there. They were pretty clearly there, whether I was looking at them directly or not. They were just doing their own thing, floating around the room. Eventually, I became aware that these were beings. These were beings, and they were consciously interacting with me. And then eventually I realized these were angels or something like that. And now I understand, because I was going back to understand the Tesseract in the fourth dimension, excuse me, and the fourth dimension, and how since we cannot physically, within the three-dimensional structure of our mind, picture visually a four-dimensional object, what we use and what the actual symbol or the image of the Tesseract that we normally see represented, this is a four-dimensional shadow. This is a three-dimensional shadow of a four-dimensional object. See? So that's how we represent it. So in the same way, I realized right then that's what I was seeing, a cross-section. I was only seeing the three-dimensional section of a higher dimensional being, multi-dimensional being, which was slicing through my reality. Because I listened to Carl Sagan describe how, if an apple, I believe it was, yes, if it was an apple, a three-dimensional apple were to descend into a flatland, a two-dimensional world, that the people in the flatland would only be conscious of a slice of the three-dimensional apple being at a time. So in the same way, that's what I was seeing. I was seeing a three-dimensional slice of a higher dimensional angelic presence, which appears to me as a geometric pattern. It's the same thing that happens to us with the Arcturians and all these. These beings are not actually shapes in their realm from their experience. They are beautiful beings of enormous complexity and depth. But to us, we are only seeing a slight section of them. But the point of making this whole video was, so anyways, as I started to see COVID happening, I thought surely now people will see what I've been saying. It's clear as day now. And then like the whole disaster cycle really upticked, the volcanoes and all that. And now like some of the scientists, large groups of them, not like just a few outliers, like the channel Suspicious Observers that I post sometimes. And he does have a spiritual understanding of this stuff, which is enabling him to be a light worker in the way he is, to work with the actual scientific community in a way that works for them with their logical, rational demands for an explanation. So he's giving them proof of a disaster cycle, of a micronova sun cycle, of a repeating 12,000 year, 24,000 year cycle. The galactic cycle. So the scientists, the quantum physics, all this stuff is coming and verifying all these things that the spiritualists have been saying for so long, that all this channel material has been saying, that all these extraterrestrial contacts have been saying, and yet still, very few people hear me. Most people still think, sure, yeah, whatever, guy. Sure, that's going to happen. Like, they see it happening right in front of them. But yet, when I say what's coming, how great and severe the reduction in the population will be, I think very few people actually accept that. Anyways, love and light.